It's time for Hell in a Cell 2021 in June, not October. Brian Redgrave has not reviewed anything WWE related since WrestleMania. He did not watch WrestleMania Backlash. Stupid name, by the way. I have not watched Raw or SmackDown since WrestleMania, with the exception of this past SmackDown because of the Hell in a Cell match they had of Roman Reigns vs. Rey Mysterio, which was moved from today till past Friday. That's the only reason I mainly went to watch it. So, can this pay per view be good enough to get me back into that WWE watching mode that I've been for years until now because of how shitty they've been? I've been watching AEW. That's how they have me right now, and I've been enjoying that very much. So let's find out how was Hell in a Cell in my review. So the first match was Mandy Rose, my future wife, I'm just kidding, versus Natalya, who was half of the women's tag team champions, in a one-on-one match, which was actually fine. It wasn't nothing like show stealing. It wasn't terrible. It was fine. It was just like a standard wrestling match that you expect in the kickoff. So I'm not gonna be too hard on it because it's on the kickoff. I know there's been somewhat of a story here. I don't know about how much of a story. I know a little bit because, as I mentioned, I have not watched anything since Mania, mainly. But the match itself was fine. Natalya did win with the sharpshooter, with Mandy Rose tapping out to the sharpshooter, and I guess that's the right call, right? You protect the champions. Now, whether Mandy Rose and Natalya are gonna go for the titles, whether they win it or not, that's a completely different story. Now, the match was clean and fair. No interference from any party, not Tamina or Dana Brooke. It was a clean match. So, Natalya just beat Mandy Rose clean. Like I said, Mandy Rose, pretty decent performance. People don't usually think of Mandy Rose as one of the greatest in the division. In fact, nobody even really talks about her when they talk about the best women division in the division. But she is pretty good. She's quite underrated. I personally do like her. And I think in the future, maybe they'll win the tag titles. I give this an up. I thought this was good. It was alright. Yeah, it could have been better, sure, absolutely. But it is what it is. I find it weird that it wasn't a tag match for the titles, which just makes me think that maybe Mandy and Dana Brooke will win the tag titles down the line. Just down the line. Not yet. So we'll see. Maybe next pay-per-view or Raw. Who knows? But I guess not for me. And then the first match of the actual night, because the previous match was in the kickoff, was Bianca Belair defending her SmackDown Women's Championship versus Bayley inside the Hell in a Cell. And how was it? Fantastic. Great match. This is why, personally, I think the best women wrestlers are in WWE for the most part. No disrespect to anybody. Right, I've been watching AEW and the roster is terrible. So I come back here and I'm like, no, WWE has the best women in the rosters because this match was fantastic. This match was hard hitting. We had ladders, steel steps, candlesticks, plenty of attacks against the cell. At one point, Bayley fucking flipped power bomb Bianca into the side of the cell outside. Fantastic, brutal, back and forth. Each woman had their moments. Bianca went on to retain her championship when she did the kiss of death on Bayley on top of a ladder that was open, like flat on the floor but open. Brutal. It just looked painful. The ladder somewhat bent on the side. Fantastic match. Multiple times Bianca's hair was used for different things. At one point, Bayley took Bianca's hair, tied it against one of the ropes. Then she tripped. Good job, Bayley. And then at one point, Bianca's hair was used to be tied on top of it on the chair, steel chair. And eventually that also cost Bayley. Lesson of the day, don't use Bianca's hair against her. It'll backfire on you. The match was just fantastic. Honestly, a great way to start the actual card of the show. And I loved it. It was a great match, and the match just gets an up from me. Definite must watch and a way to start a hell of a night. And then it was Cesaro versus Seth friggin' Rollins for like I think the third pay-per-view in a row. I I didn't see WrestleMania Backlash. I did see them at WrestleMania, and it was a fantastic match. And here it was no different. Another great match, back and forth. Seth attacked Cesaro before the match even started. Cesaro was making his entrance. After that, they brawled. The match started. Cesaro dominated early on. Then Rollins dominated early on. Not early on. After the Cesaro part of domination, and then it was just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And Cesaro looked like was going to win again. He went from a sharpshooter to a crossface to a crossface to a sharpshooter, and then Rollins just got a little rolled up. 1, 2, 3. Seth Rollins wins. I was hoping Cesaro won again, but yeah, if Cesaro has already won two, the rivalry's been in Cesaro's favor. Rollins needs a victory. The match gets set up. I understand why Seth won, but I was kind of hoping Cesaro wins so we can move on from this feud. 3-0. Let's move on. But with Rollins now having a victory, I guess they might go at it one more time, I would assume. But the match was good. Do you expect anything less out of these two? The match gets on up. I really enjoyed it. And so far, pay-per-view has not disappointed. So, let's just keep going with this review. Alright, let me make something very, very clear. I love Alexa Bliss. I think she's fantastic. I've loved her for years. But this rivalry just needs to stop. This needs to end. This whole thing has been just complete bullshit. And it just gets worse and worse every time. Shayna Baszler is a former cage fighter. And the idea that she's terrified by these hooky fucking magic tricks, the Daily's version of Annabelle, is absolutely ridiculous. I saw in this match Alexa control Nia Jax, just because apparently when Alexa just stares at your eyes, you're getting possessed, possessed. So I saw Nia Jax getting possessed, smacking Reginald, Shayna being afraid to stare at Alexa in the eyes. Alexa Bliss wins through bullshit. That's all you gotta know. Fuck this. Fuck this whole feud, this rivalry. It gets the middle finger. This needs to stop. I love both women in this. I love Shayna Baszler, and what they've done to her is unacceptable. And Alexa Bliss, she deserves better than this bullshit. I don't understand. The night was great up to this point, and of course, Daily style, we gotta butcher it at some point, somehow. Well, this was that point tonight. Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens for the millionth time. I don't even know what to say. It's not that this match was bad. It wasn't necessarily bad. It was good. But at this point, I've seen these guys go at it so many times. I'm kind of tired of it. I can't even count how many times these two have fought. What was the difference here from WrestleMania instead? Sammy won this one. Great. Sammy needed the victory, sure. But, why are these guys still fighting? You know what I mean? So I guess that affected my enjoyment of this match. It's not that it was bad. It was not that it was great. Because, like I said, the match itself was fine. But I don't care anymore. I want to go a long time without seeing these two go at it. And then maybe when they go at it again, I'll be good. The match was fine. It doesn't get an up. It doesn't get a down. It wasn't bad. It's not that it was not great. It was just fine. I'm tired of these two. So, please. I know Sammy won here. So I have a feeling they're going to go at it again. But I beg you not to do that. Stop it here. I beg of you. Please. I don't care. I don't care. I don't think this was a very entertaining feud from the video packages and the stuff I've seen. My opinion can be affected by the fact that I cannot stand Charlotte. I think she's way overused. She's put in title rivalries way too often. I'm tired of her. Been for a long time. Rhea Ripley retained the title through disqualification. Charlotte ran into the cardboard of the table, and that caused a DQ. I don't understand. We see that all the time, and it's never a disqualification. Why it is now, I don't know. But this is WWE. They make up rules on the fly, right? We've had 2 Hell in a Cell matches in the past be stoppage on a no DQ match. The match, it's in the middle, right? The match wasn't terrible. It was entertaining, but at the same time, it just this feud. This maybe if it was somebody else, not Charlotte, like Sasha or Becky Lynch, but I don't know. This doesn't. If it's like they want it to be this hard hitting, amazing feud, and it's not. It doesn't feel like that. It's just one big letdown. Where's Asuka too? And the main event is Bobby Lashley defending the title against Drew McIntyre for the 20,000th fucking time. The rivalry that never ends and supposedly ends tonight if Drew McIntyre doesn't win. And did he win? No, he didn't, because he got taken out by a roll-up. Not the spear. No. A roll-up. Not the full Nelson. A roll-up. That ends the rivalry. A roll-up. No more title defenses against Drew McIntyre because a roll-up. The match itself just surpassed my expectations. Not because these guys are bad. I just was not very excited at all about this match. Because it's just them again. This is WWE's biggest problem. They do way too many repeats. That's one of their problems. The match was fine because the match itself was not bad, but that ending of the roll-up was so much bullshit because there were so many close calls in the match that at one point I thought Bobby's retaining. Then at some point I'm like, oh, yo, Drew's going to pull this off. The referee got taken out. MVP got inside. Drew took him out. Then the fight continued. Eventually MVP grabbed Drew's leg when he was going for the Claymore. And then a roll-up. Mediocre, middle. It's in the middle. So how was Hell in a Cell? Well, mediocre at best. What started off as a pretty good night with a kickoff that was decent, because it was decent, to the women's Hell in a Cell match, which was really good. Cesaro and Rollins was really good. Everything else from there on just became sort of mediocre and shitty. From the shitty Alexa Shayna stuff to the mediocre Kevin Owens and Sammy stuff again. Also, you see the problem, the repeated stuff. The Charlotte, Rhea, it's just, this pay-per-view was a letdown. I was actually quite excited walking in here, and I'm leaving disappointed. But hey, that's what WWE does every time. This has been Brian Redgrave.